First, Forbidden Door. Here's the full show review. Welcome, family, to another episode of our show. And we're going to be talking about this first time that AEW and New Japan Pro Wrestling cross promote. Something that, like, called it Forbidden Door because that's what they tried to do also with Impact at the beginning. Is their first try. Probably a lot of good things, maybe a lot of bad things also. I mean, the ending was bad. I mean, we knew who was going to be the champion, but also, of course, like Jean Paul always says, he can never close the show with like just the guy holding the belt. It always has to be a post attack. They have to pump whatever's coming next. I don't know about Paul. How do you feel about this pay-per-view that we just watched?
Yeah, I mean, overall, at least this one was a little bit shorter. But no, it was too many matches in the beginning that nobody cared about. You had a match that was really competitive that should have been completely one-sided because the one guy in it is a complete joke. And, I mean, hey, we did see some cool surprises. We saw Cesaro or Claudio Castagnoli come back, or, our debut.
Our debut on AEW.
Yeah, so that was cool. That was exciting to see. It probably in one of the matches of the night, if not the match of the night, against Zack Sabre Jr. So some great stuff, but then we also saw some really bad stuff that we're going to talk about.
So, let's get right to it. Thank you for being with us. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. And, family, we're right here for you. And, the show starts with, like, Chris Jericho, Minoru Suzuki, and Sammy Guevara, kind of like the Jericho Appreciation Society, going against Eddie Kingston, Wheeler Yuta, and Shota Umino. Like, this match to me, Jericho, they give them the win because, well, Blood and Guts, that's what's coming up. That's what they need to pump. And, I mean, Minoru Suzuki coming to the States is always cool to see him. This time, at least, he got the upper hand. Good show for them. Eddie Kingston, I don't know yet, Paul. I mean, he's going back in this translation, so I don't know what I'm doing with my character. I'm always the brawler. That's all I like to do. This is a cool stare down with Minoru Suzuki. But in the end, we got to see a lot of spots first towards like the end of the match. And Jericho, the Judas effect, on to like Umino and 1, 2, 3, and the Society. I mean, they get the upper hand win, and they go with all the advantage to Blood and Guts.
Yeah, Jericho and Sammy, Le Sex Gods. I think they referred to him again at the beginning of this match. They're back together with Suzuki. I don't care about either of these three. Like you said, Suzuki, it's cool to see him. Not really. We've seen him before. If he didn't have, he had the match with Danielson. That wasn't anything to remember, so he wasn't going to do anything good here. And no, this wasn't good. This wasn't good to hype up the crowd. Nobody cared. Nobody cared about this feud. And nobody cares about the big match of Blood and Guts. Unfortunately. So it's just, this didn't feel like it should be on a pay-per-view. This felt like something that should be on Dynamite.
Yeah, like,
to me, this didn't feel special.
So they have to put everybody on the card, kind of like following like WWE's booking. But like you said, I wasn't too thrilled with it. Like I said, what I mean Suzuki like being cool is just because you see him, and then at least in this situation he wins, because normally he will always lose. He puts people over and all of that. But in the end, like you said, Blood and Guts is just like they need huge groups, because they did this like 2 years ago with like the Inner Circle and also like the MJF's group, the Pinnacle and all of that. But to me, this is just like, Sammy Guevara, we don't know if he's really healed, babe. I don't know. Tay wasn't even there, or if she was, I didn't even see her. But I don't know. This, to me, that is not what you really wanted to do with the pay-per-view. But, like, let's tell me a little about this match. This was actually really good also, because FTR was going like winner takes all, and Jacob, and also like the Great Okan and Roppongi buys. This is just bad, because I mean, I don't know what happened with Chucky, but like I guess they got another partner, and this was like winner takes all, because like the IWGP Championship and the Ring of Honor were both on the line. What did you think of this? Because I'm going to tell you, for me at least, FTR, they're trying to do everything so they can re-sign with AEW.
Yeah, the only thing I don't like is, not to spoil it, but I really hope they don't do something where they end up doing FTR versus the Bucks, and the Bucks beat them, and then the Bucks and the Bucks take all the belts.
I hope they don't do that.
Because it seems like FTR, I really didn't think they were going to win this. I thought this was going to be, the Great Okan and Jeff Cobb's match to win, but it's like, maybe you don't do that, but, you're going to have to play hot potato with one of these titles, whether it was the Ring of Honor titles or the New Japan titles. But I mean, for a triple threat match, for tag teams, this was good. All 6 of these guys are pretty good. I mean, I never seen really the Great Okan too much. We've seen Jeff Cobb a little bit in AEW's early days.
Yeah, a little bit on Dynamite.
But this was good, and FTR, they hit the big rig. Almost out of nowhere, they come in, they quick hit it, 1, 2, 3, And the one thing I liked here in this, pretty much the whole pay-per-view until later on in the show when they brought out Jim Ross, the commentary team was Kevin Kelly from New Japan.
Yes.
And then obviously you had Excalibur.
Ian Riccoboni, right?
Then,
for like the,
no. Or,
the
I don't know. No, it was Taz and Excalibur.
Okay.
You had Caprice Coleman was in on some of them and stuff. I mean, you did maybe Ian Riccoboni was, but they were kind of switching. But like the main commentary team were those three: Kevin Kelly, Excalibur, and Taz. So I thought that was pretty cool, and it showed to me that was more enjoyable than Jim Ross and Tony Schiavone.
Oh yeah, well, like you said, like for example, Kevin Kelly is really good because he's more neutral. He focuses on the action. He just he calls it what it is, and we know that like Jay Ivory has actually been suffering a lot from like the treatment, the the side effects from all like the treatment that he did for the skin cancer and everything. He said that going to a plane is absolutely like so excruciating pain, so like probably he couldn't make it, or maybe he make it later. But like that's the one thing we got to watch the show in Spanish. We got to tell you that much because in the stream that we had, it wasn't that too good. But like I feel that FTR at least like they win is good, and they're gonna have to defend at some point, and also in New Japan, which is like that's what the one thing about all these groups, Paul, is just that like hey, we want opportunities to fight somewhere else, and also like hey, make more money, and then that way we don't have to like look to the WWE. We just want to stay in our bubble, so we don't have to go anywhere else. And maybe that's what they did. But like you said, it will be really bad if they lose to the Young Bucks after doing all of this. Because right now, the best tag team in the world is probably FTR.
Oh yeah, FTR definitely is, and I think this is something that New Japan saw there as well. They thought, man, if we can get these guys, they're over. They wrestle old school, they're tough, they're legit. We can get these guys over here to wrestle a couple shows for us, draw some money for us over here in Japan. We'll put the belts on them. And FTR, hey, that adds another big company's tag team belts to their resume. This was this is where the show you go, okay, this was all right. This is pretty good.
Started off good, yes, exactly. Like this was good. Like the first match, whatever. But now let's go to talk about the next one because we were like the brand new AEW All Atlantic Championship, and that was Malachi Black, Pac, Miro, and Clark Connors, or like Joseph Connors. No, Joseph Connors NXT UK for Paul. We got to do that mention. But this is a brand new title, and this is for people outside of the United States. This match for me should have been Miro, but I'm not disappointed by the winner because at least a little bit of justice to Pac. We're going to spoil it right away, but like, did you like the match? Miro coming back at least is something refreshing. He can go back also to like the TNT Championship. And Malachi Black, I'm sorry, but the whole experiment is over for me.
No, I didn't really care for this too much. Who's Clark Connors? Does anybody know? Does anybody care? No. Yes, Miro coming back. Miro coming back. He should be a monster. He should win everything, especially with the whole gimmick. The Redeemer. Everything you push this guy. He should be going after Jon Moxley or Tanahashi. That's what his whole thing should have been. If he wasn't going to win this, which he was my guy to win this. I thought Pac and Malachi Black, they just threw them in there. This should have really just been a one-on-one singles match. But again, Tony Khan, same thing, Mark booking. I just need to book all my guys on the show every single time I have a big show. That's what this was. And I mean, Pac winning is cool, but like I said, at the expense of Miro. No, I mean, Miro wasn't the one pinned. Obviously, they weren't going to do that or submit it or anything. But
they probably put Connors there to get that pin.
Yeah, but I mean, still, to have Miro in this match, and Malachi Black is such a loser. I'm sorry. Since coming to AEW, he's like Keith Lee. It's just, you had something in NXT, you come here, and it's complete shit. It's just, nobody cares.
It's not good. And like I said, for me at least, I will find a little bit of redeeming thing on Impact. Hopefully they give this title like,
they should have just been, if you wanted to feature that Connors guy, because he's a guy from New Japan, wanted to get him over a little bit, should have just been him versus Pac one-on-one.
Yeah, that was another one. That was another one, but again, like I have to agree with you because they have to feature everybody, because if not, everybody gets mad, or they're going to start, sending those tweets, oh, why am I not in the car and things like that. So I understand what you mean by that, but at least Pac is like the brand new All Atlantic champion. We'll see. Like they're starting to get a lot of titles, but again, it doesn't mean that like their titles are going to be give him this right prestige or the importance. So we'll see why they keep doing this, because again, hey, it doesn't matter how many titles. Remember the 24/7, the Hardcore Championship. Although we saw good matches with the Hardcore Championship WWE days, this is gonna take us 2 seconds, because this is, for example, unnecessary. Like the dudes with attitude, Sting one more time, putting like burying people, because that's what he does now. He loves to like bury people with Darby Allin, of course, because Darby, he cannot live without Sting. Young Bucks, they needed to be featured on the card, right, Paul? And the Bullet Club, all of a sudden they're like the Elite, the Bullet Club, they're like in 10,000 factions.
Yeah, and then the one the one guy with the long hair,
Phantasmo.
the one above Darby.
He wasn't even there. No,
yeah, he was injured.
Like Takahashi. He wasn't even there because he had a fever, so they had to pull him out of the event.
Yeah, so then it became a like a 6-man match, and this was all over the place. Again, it was just to feature guys on the show. Sting, just double scorpion death dropping people, taking everybody out. It wasn't good, and I was actually, and then I don't know, like. What can you say about this?
It's not good, like you said. It's just, especially for example, in moments like this, because like El Fantasma was trying to do something with the nipples of Sting, then he reverses, he does this onto the Fantasma. These are this type of stuff that, like, for example, like, you just don't, if you're gonna have the guy doing this, just don't have the match. This is the type of things that like take away the seriousness of like professional wrestling. We're gonna talk about on that when the Zack Sabre Jr.'s match. We said the same thing about FTR. Here is where it's like the show becomes comical. It's like, oh, why do I even watch this? And the fact that Sting is the one winning with like Darby Allin and everything. I don't like this at all. But I don't even care, because after this, there's not going to be a continuation with this match. But this is the type of matches, like Paul always says, like take away from the card, make the whole thing, good from top to bottom, like NXT TakeOver used to be. No, if you don't need Sting in every single pay-per-view, you don't need Darby in every single pay-per-view, you don't need the Bucks. So that's the one thing that they should not do, but they keep trying to do that. So Paul, tell me that, I know you don't want to talk about that match, and it's fine. Tell me a little bit about this one, because we said it doesn't matter whether both of them are babyface. At least it's like the biggest name that can go against Thunder Rosa for that AEW Women's Championship. Toni Storm.
Yeah, in this match, it wasn't bad, but again, it suffered from the last thing Thunder Rosa's match suffered from. It's in the middle of a show that's long. It came right after an awful match. What are you going to do? They had a good match. She hit the Thunder driver. She kicked out of that. Oh my God, they're selling it. People were into it. Toni Storm's good. Thunder Rosa is good. But, again, there's no credible woman, even though Toni Storm is good. And we do think, yeah, she does have the capabilities of being a champion. Nobody knew, or nobody expected this title to change hands. Nobody thought it was in danger. Yeah. So, you can't really get into it. And like I said, the show's not exciting. Maybe if it was really good and you were hyped up and, this was maybe a big name from Japan, but there isn't any, because they, all the big names from Japan are either signed up or, they already brought them over here. Nobody wants to see Riho or Yuka Sakazaki or any of them again. So, this was good, but it wasn't anything that, you're going to rewatch, I don't think. And, she hit what is it? It's kind of like the move from Dustin. I forget what.
Yeah, it was actually the Dustin Rhodes. Yes, that's what she did, like, as the finisher. Yes. And like you said, the one thing is they lack of like building like good, credible opponents for Thunder Rosa. That's been the main thing. To me, it will be Jamie Hayter. Will be cool to see. I would really like to, like, they will actually like give them the opportunity, let her win a lot of matches. But no, they had to go with Toni Storm, because like you said, outside of Thunder, what's the other woman that has name value here? Is Toni Storm. The match was good, but again, Toni, like every single time on NXT TakeOver, she falls short. Thunder Rosa is not really ready to lose that opportunity, that championship, so that's fine. They needed to give me a women's match and a championship match. That's what they did. That's fine. This was the one that, like you said, Paul, is like a lot of people like hate, a lot of people love. I don't know why Will Ospreay will agree to like just be like kind of like in the middle of the card, rather like he was like a former IWGP champion. He goes against Orange Cassidy. He just returned for the United States Championship because Juice Robinson was stripped from that due to like he was sick or something. So like he got injured, so they had to take away the championship. And I mean the match quality decent for what I can tell. I mean, of course, they has to like add the Orange Cassidy character. They changed his theme song. All of that. Ospreay play on that a little bit, but in the end, he retains the championship, which is good. And at least I hope that like they give him like more better opportunities to Will Ospreay, because to me he's with White and Okada. Those are the names of New Japan.
Yeah, I mean, this in the beginning, obviously Orange Cassidy has a hand in the pockets. He's selling the whole gimmick, but then he starts getting the upper hand on Ospreay while having the hands in the pocket. So that buries Ospreay, and Ospreay was saying all this stuff. Oh, I'm a legit pro wrestler. I'm not bullshit. Blah blah blah. This and that. But that he sells for this guy who's
2 weeks later,
he sells for the biggest gimmick on the whole industry. But then eventually Orange Cassidy does the thing where he actually starts to wrestle. But again, it's a little too late. He hits all his finishes, the Ospreay cutter or whatever it is, but he
cutter,
kicks out.
We saw like the tornado DDT. We saw the stunner,
all this stuff. But eventually, he hits his. I forget what his finisher is. I don't remember if it was the cutter.
I don't remember the name of it, but yeah, like that. He's just like I know what you're talking about. But eventually he hit that, and then he's able to get the win. I mean, again, Orange Cassidy, the fact that like he lost is good, just because like Will Ospreay, like I said, that's a big name. The fact that like he's just like US champion, I don't know what they're really gonna do with him. But then we're gonna sue another person trying to save Orange Cassidy from a beatdown from Ospreay and his group. Of course, they gotta finish it on like doing this, Of course, like people love it. That's the new generation of professional wrestling fans. Kind of like we don't really celebrate that much of this, but I mean, good showing for Ospreay, and he gets a win, and Cassidy puts him over. That's fine. Hopefully, that's the ending of that. So now, tell me a bit about this. Is actually a little better, a lot better. Zack Sabre Jr. went against a mystery opponent, just because Bryan Danielson was supposed to be the guy that like was in this match. He got injured. Wonder why? There's been a wave of injuries, and it was like the speculation poll: Gargano or Cesaro, and it turned out to be Claudio Castagnoli, aka Cesaro. But I wouldn't. Here's the question for you, really quick: is he like the best technical wrestler, or no? Because for me, his style is really technical, but like, he's not as technical as Sabre Jr. or like even Bryan Danielson.
No, and I think they're just trying to sell that to just trying to, build intrigue to who this was. And it's funny because I didn't, I almost thought it was just going to be a friend of Danielson. And they said, no, he's in the the Combat Club. Well, the entire Combat Club, besides Wheeler Yuta, is all ex-WWE guys.
Yes.
Now they have Claudio in there. And, I mean, when he came out, the people were excited. The big pop. Biggest pop, right there. Biggest pop of the night, for sure. And, they had a good match. Obviously, he's legit. He showed his strength. JR was selling it. And, in commentary, he got a little excited for this. He was out at this point. And, the one thing you got to say, I like where Kevin Kelly, he even said, Claudio had success in WWE. He said it flat out. Yeah. Because, that's what they do in New Japan. They mention other companies. Here in AEW, they usually don't mention WWE unless they're making fun of them. And they never usually say them by name.
A shot, yes.
Yeah, and they never say them by name. But you can tell he's like, well, shit, this is how we do it in New Japan. He just said it right flat out.
And remember, Paul, Kevin Kelly used to work in WWE too. Yeah. He's a WWE guy. He used to be like a backstage interviewer.
Yeah, but back to this match. I mean, this was great. Just the technical stuff you saw. Zack Sabre Jr. so good. And, with the kind of the trend we were seeing here, I thought, maybe, Claudio's going to lose his debut. We see a lot of guys losing their debuts here, but no, that wasn't the case. And even to jumpstart the match, right when it started, he hit the neutralizer because he jumpstarted it. But no, he kicked out at 2, and you thought he was almost going to steal one. But no, Cesaro or Claudio, he did get the win here at the end. And this was good, a great debut for him. And I mean, they're really, I think that they're pushing him, especially with what we're going to talk about at the end of the show. They're really pushing this guy.
We saw the Claudio swing now. It's not more the Cesaro swing anymore. But like, that will be the biggest slap to the face, Paul. Don't you think, if they push this guy to the moon and then he becomes AEW World Champion at some point? That will be like, look what you guys are missing, you know. And I'm not saying just because you want to keep a war or anything, but just say, hey, you know what? You never gave them the opportunity. Hey, we're gonna give them. We're gonna let them roll with that ball, and hey, let's see what they can. I mean,
and
hey,
you
it
know
would be
who
just
else it would be a
wishful
slap in the face of, but it would be their own fault. Would be guys like Keith Lee, guys like a Malachi Black, where it's like, see what happens when you come in here and you just be legit and you wrestle and you just, that's all you do. Not when you come in here and be goofy or be stupid or, you know, 700 pounds or whatever.
But again, Paul, you know, like, let's ask the biggest question of all the time, because we don't sugarcoat, like Paul always says in the Twitter page, we don't sugarcoat the truth. How long is it going to be till like Claudio looks good, or like looks, you know, like has this big push? How long? Because like, he loses something and then one again down, and then, you know, like then they just go back to like just being mid card for life. You know, Keith Lee, like also like Isaiah Swerve Scott, all of them. That, you know, they like just look like buy in. They not even made the card. There you go. That's what happens. But at least, you know, this is a great debut for him. He got a good match, and like I said, Zack Sabre Jr. is probably the best, you know, technical wrestler outside of maybe Bryan Danielson. I will have to say, like, I would love to see that match between the two. But again, wave of injuries. Why? Because they do all this like really dangerous spots, and now there's like almost everybody is injured, you know, in AEW and WWE. So now let's talk about a match that had to be restructured because of the same reasoning, because of all the injuries. But here, like you said, Tony Khan managed to just get Kazuchika Okada because he was about to like become a father, and during in like the next week or two, like his wife is gonna like give birth to his first child. As see Adam Hangman Page, Jay White defending the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, and Adam Cole. They just needed all these guys to have a match, a fatal four-way. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not that good. And here we knew that like the champion was not gonna change, the championship was not gonna change hands just because Jay White just won it. And you know, the WGP championship is not gonna like be changed on a pay-per-view by AEW. At least that's my reason.
I mean, the only thing, if it would have changed hands maybe to Okada. And
yes,
that would have set something up for, you know, a New Japan pay-per-view, do Okada and Jay White again, or, you know, whatever, however you're going to do this. But this match, I mean, it was hard hitting. You know, these guys, they beat the hell out of each other, suplex the Hangman Adam Page on the apron, not the apron, on the ramp, and, you know, knocking each other into the barricades. But I mean, spot fest, and this was good. It's 4 main event guys. You know, the problem is Adam Cole was hurt, and you know he was hurt, and you could tell that throughout this match. Again, maybe he said, no, I want to do it, I want to be on this show. I'm sure Tony Khan said, no, you can rest. I'm sure he didn't say, you better get out there and, you know, make this show. I'm sure it wasn't nothing like that. But, you know, he didn't really have no reason to be wrestling, especially
you saw Paul DiCanisio tape all over it, you know, and again, he doesn't want to, like, you know.
And like I said, they weren't sugarcoating it here, especially, you know, the guys in New Japan, they don't sugarcoat nothing. You know, they go out there and they wrestle. But this was good. And the thing everybody's talking about, because it's the only thing everybody's seen, is just the ending. The ending is just so out of nowhere. Hangman Adam Page, he's out of the picture, nowhere in sight. You know, Adam Cole is just laying there, and you kind of have Okada and Jay White a little back and forth. And, you know, he hits his finisher, he sets him up, or he goes to hit his finisher, but then Jay White, you know, he comes in, he hits his finisher on Okada, and the whole time Adam Cole's just been laying there for like 10-15 seconds, not moving. Instead of pinning Okada, the guy he just hit his finisher on, he pins Adam Cole. 1, 2, 3, and they're like, oh, he pinned his friend, and this is kind of like, oh, what's going on? Is he injured? And then you see Jay White and the rest of the Bullet Club, they kind of get out of there, and the Young Bucks are like, should we go with him? Should we stay with Cole? What should we do? Kyle O'Reilly's like yelling at them, like, you got to help Adam Cole.
Bobby Fish is injured also, and O'Reilly also, though. They're all injured for the ones that are.
And it was just such a weird ending, and just a match that, I don't know, it should have just been Jay White versus Adam Hangman Page. I don't know what the problem with that, or do Okada do a triple threat?
Yeah. No, like you said, because it's weird, because you just play these things like they're my friends or they're not my friends. Are we like the Super Elite? Are we the Bullet Club? Are we Raw Break? What are we? You know, like there's too many groups, and the same guys that are involved in all the groups. Like, what are we? What are we for real? You know, that's why Kenny Omega will be cool if he could come back. I'm not, you know, just saying those things. Say, okay, we are the Elite, or we are like the Bullet Club, but like we're not both. So it's very, like you said, confusing. But in the end, Jay White remains the champion, which is like what we thought it was going to be. Just because, again, he just won it. and New Japan does not have like this thing that like they just like to like play the title like hot potato. So that's fine. And with the match, like you said, Adam Cole is definitely injured. We will have reports on how severe the injury is, but like again, the guy had kinesio table over, so a hard hitting match like this. Good debut for Kazuchika Okada for the ones that like don't see him in the American audience. We've seen a lot of matches for him, the Rainmaker, absolutely fine. Main event, AEW Interim World Championship, Hiroshi Tanahashi against Jon Moxley. This was the best that they could have given us. That's what I can tell you. The best that I could expect from Tanahashi, because both styles completely different from me, Paul. Am I correct on this? Or at least you have a different view on this, because different styles, Tanahashi more air flying, all of that. Moxley is just, brawler, more like submission and all of that. But we saw blood. We saw a lot of interactions between the two, mocking at each other. And, we saw this. At least Moxley got busted open right away. And paradigm shift. Then Tanahashi did his the finisher, like the splash. What are your thoughts about this? Because in the end, we knew that Moxley was going to win. There was no way that Tanahashi was going to become champion.
Yeah, in the beginning, back and forth, pretty even. You think, okay, Tanahashi, the big dive, like the big crossbody, hits Moxley on the outside. Boom, you see Moxley, he rolls right underneath to the apron, or like the ring skirt. That's where he gigs himself, and you can tell, and he gigged himself real good. That's why he's bleeding like a sip. So, he's out there like crazy. And then he, starts making his comeback. He puts Tanahashi through the table. You think, okay, back in the ring. He goes to pin Tanahashi. He hits that big clothesline like he does, goes to pin him, kicks out at one. Big pop from the crowd. Crowd's into it. They're chanting, "Go Ace, go Ace, go." A U.S. crowd is chanting, "Go Ace." At this point, I don't know what Tony Khan's plans were for Jon Moxley. Obviously, he's going to lose the match to CM Punk when CM Punk comes back, right? You would assume that that's correct?
Yes.
This crowd, nobody was chanting "Go Moxley." They were chanting "Go Ace." I mean, maybe New Japan said absolutely not. You can't have him for that long. But I would have put the belt on this guy. They were so hot for Tanahashi during this thing at this point. And then eventually he gets the comeback. He fights up. He goes up, hits the big cross body. The crowd goes crazy. He's waving his finger. Not yet. One more time. He climbs up. Another big cross body. He goes to pin him, but no, he can't right away because he's selling the injuries. Till he crawls over. He goes to pin him. 1, 2. Moxley doesn't just kick out. He immediately puts him in the bulldog full force, like no selling it, like he hasn't been injured at all. Tanahashi fights through it. Legit, I thought, okay, here we go. This is going to be the big. He's going to pull the upset, the surprise. They're going to give it to him. Nope. Moxley just has him in the choke while they're standing. Picks him up. Paradigm shift. 1, 2, 3. So again, you have these two big matches, and to me, both completely flat. Not good endings to these matches. The two, main events, you could say. And I mean, I agree this was the best they could have given us between these two. I mean, predictable, man. If you would have did the opposite and Tanahashi would have, when he went to pick him up for a paradigm shift, Tanahashi could have rolled him up 1, 2, 3. Oh my God, the crowd, they would have went crazy. Nobody would have
been a lot better because, like you said, because in the end, you CM Punk is going to be the champion. Really,
so and then we get to see the dream match, because you can do Moxley and CM Punk anytime. You own both these guys. I shouldn't say you own them, but they're under contract. You can do it anytime. And
like you said, Paul, as soon as Tanahashi loses to Punk, Moxley's music hits. Hey, I'm the next number one contender. I want my match, whatever. We're good.
Yeah, you can do it.
Match. Yeah, let's do it.
It
would have been better because an upset enhances a pay-per-view. An upset like that.
Yeah, and I mean, then afterwards, okay, the guys, little sign of respect, okay, legit, whatever. And then Jericho and all those losers come out, and they start beating everybody down. And then Claudio comes out, and I mean, he kicked ass, and, he did the big swing. I think it was on Garcia or somebody.
Yeah.
And, he got the big pop, and the crowd liked it and everything, but, I mean, again, it felt like Dynamite. Right? That a pay-per-view should, with a big championship match, should end with the guy with the belt, AEW copyright, go off the air. I don't need to see all this stuff. And look, it's all WWE guys. Who are your eyes drawn to in this picture? The three guys who your eyes are drawn to, ex-WWE guys.
Yes, all three. Yeah. Also, William Regal, Cesaro and Jon Moxley. And like you said, give the opportunity to guys that are more AEW owned. And that's why the main reason that probably MJF is going to end up to going to WWE. You see the pop when like MJF goes there, it will be just so huge. It was gonna be like the internet's gonna break.
Especially if, let's say, Cody wins the belt, he's cutting a promo, and that music interrupts his promo. The place will go insane.
I don't know if they will have the rights for them, but at least MJF shows up and it's like
something similar, some kind of similar music.
Yeah, exactly. So like it will be great, but like in this situation, this particular, just they wanted to pop up Blood and Guts. And again, this is like every single time that they done this, it's just their way, like cheap way. It's just to like do war games because they don't have the rights for that, of course. But now it's just like they're gonna have Claudio there. Like I don't know if it's like that good. We'll see what happens on Dynamite. But like again, it will be a lot better just to see the image of the champion holding the championship while the show goes off the air. And not this, it's a matter of taste, but like that's what we think. And this coach is like Forbidden Door, which was like, hey, on a 1 to 10, probably I will give a 6, 5.5. It was pretty interesting, and at least it's a first. That is something that at least I will give Tony Khan and also the people from New Japan Pro Wrestling. And they were able to cross promote, something that we've been asking for a long time. Maybe next year will be a lot better. Hopefully not too many injuries. Hopefully like they tell guys like Cornette says, hey, do what you know. But just don't exaggerate. Don't go with a big dive when it's not needed. So we'll see what happens, Paul. Your closing thoughts before we go off the air.
Yeah, the build wasn't very good. I think that hurt it. If the build was more exciting, again, don't have so many matches that people don't care about when you had plenty on here that people did care about. But you ruined some of them, even when we still cared about them. Claudio is good for him coming. This was all right for a first attempt. It was okay. It wasn't good, but it wasn't the worst thing we've seen them, give us here. So, I'm looking forward. I shouldn't say looking forward to, but I hope they do another one next year, and hopefully it improves.
Yeah, or like they actually talking about maybe having another one. For example, the cool thing now, right? It will be now they have one in Japan. That will be like the US guys are paying the visit back. Something like that, it will be really cool. Forbidden Door 2 now from Japan, something like that. And then, something like that they keep us like the intrigue and everything like that. But family, thank you so very much for being with us. We love you. We appreciate you. We want to say happy birthday to Jean Paul. Many more years to come. We love you. We appreciate you. Thank you for being part of this. And family, don't forget again one more time to just be with us because more content is coming. There's a lot of things that are cooking for you guys. So where they can find us.
And make sure you follow us, Rope Break on Facebook, the OG Rope Break on Twitter, Original Rope Break on Instagram, Twitch, and TikTok, and of course right here on YouTube, the home of the #1 podcast in the YouTube wrestling community, the Original Rope Break.
And you have me one more thing to say, and that is...